Hey guys, it's Katie Cakes here. So because of COVID, we're not allowed to see anybody. So this is going to be a kind of strange recap about the book that we're reading right now. I'm reading a book with Nikki. We're reading the Vampire Academy series. It's her first time, my 11th time. It's been really fun. So we're currently on book 3, and I made her wait until I got finished work. I could catch up to her before she's allowed to finish the rest of book 3. So we're going to talk about it, and then we're going to talk about it again when we're done book 3. So let's call her.
Hello.
Hello.
Good night.
Good night.
Not you.
You're not allowed to go to sleep. Now we just do the talking. So first we're going to talk about Vampire Academy. There's a donut in my way. Okay.
See me?
Yeah, they could see you, and then I have Vampire Academy beside you.
Excellent. I have Vampire Academy behind me.
Yeah. I have the 10th year one too. So what are your thoughts about Vampire Academy?
Just the first?
Just the
in
first
general, one. Or are we talking about like the one that we're on right now?
The first one.
Okay, so at first I was like, eh. But because it was your favorite book, I was willing to read it. And once I got past 3 chapters, I was already like in it and enthralled.
Yeah.
And the writer,
Rochelle,
did something that I automatically assume is fantastic writing when she can put me on one track and then it's actually a completely other way. So she catches me by surprise with her writing, which is really hard to do, I find. And also the emotions itself from the book. I don't think I've ever yelled at a book before.
Just you wait. That's all I have to say. Just you wait.
I've been waiting all day.
Yeah, but...
For me.
Just you wait. Okay, so I know that you haven't seen the movie. We will watch the movie later. When Hank's done and we can see each other.
Yeah, when COVID restrictions are lightened.
Yeah, damn COVID.
Damn COVID.
Yeah.
Burning all the good things.
Yeah. But, like, what was your first impression of, like, Rose and Dimitri? Like, are you gunning for them or are you not?
Oh, I'm totally gunning for them. And I love Rose, like, passionately. Because she's just like me. She's badass. And Dimitri, and I feel like this is just, like, the perfect thing to say. And like Katie said, Hank is reading. Hank's my husband. He calls Dimitri Dreamitri, and I thought it was perfect.
It is really perfect.
I don't think there's anyone better for Rose than Dimitri, though. Like, hands down.
No, I mean, like, even going into Frostbite and the fact that Mason is brought up, and so is Adrian. Like, I have a soft spot for both of them, but not with Rose. No one else belongs with Rose except Dimitri.
Oh, hands down. And I loved Mason.
Yeah.
So much, but he did not belong. And I'm really sad with how it ended, but like Mason and Rose, the chemistry just felt wrong to me. Like, outside of friendship, and it just deep in my core, it just did not feel right at all. Which, again, props to the author to write with such amazeness. And I really wish it wasn't midnight and I had better words to say. But she's just, she is a phenomenal writer, absolutely.
She just makes you fall in love with the story. Like, even the fact that up until this point, there hasn't been a lot of romance in the series, that is changing. It does grow with the reader. This is a young adult series, but it's more, it goes, it goes into more of a new adult style, which means that it will have more sex. Not nearly as much as after or anything like that, but it does up. From this point on, it does start going up.
And you know what? And again, props to the author, because Rose is only 17 right now.
Yeah.
And like me reading it for the first time at 28, I'd be like, ugh, he's 7 years older than her. But it
doesn't read that way.
It doesn't, because it just feels like a completely different level. But my typical response is, ew, you're going for someone who's a girl who's 7 years younger than you. What is wrong with you? But not in this case. It just feels like they're meant to be together.
Yeah, but I think like it also makes a difference on the fact that, like, I understand why Rochelle has written it the way she did, just simply because this is a teacher-student romance, and that's forbidden, right? And then you add on to the fact that they are both going to be guarding Lisa when she graduates and Lisa graduates, so they can't be together because then they will go for each other instead of Lisa, and that's not acceptable. So
on that note, though, I feel that they're both such professionals in their guardianship, especially Rose. And I'm only on book 3, mind you, and I already feel I said it with 2, book 3, and she's already put what her priorities are first, and you can see it in the flashbacks in Vampire Academy that she is no longer drinking, and that was a choice that she made even prior to when the book began, because it was in a flashback when she decided to stop drinking. But to be on alert and stuff. But now she doesn't flirt with the boys as much, and she doesn't party, and she's kind of just gone back into the shadows and has naturally kind of gone into that guardian role. So I really don't feel that her and Dimitri's love for each other would interfere with them to be able to do the job right. And especially going where we are right now in book 3, when she had her first field attack with Dimitri, that right there speaks mountains and mountains of who she's developing as a person as well. So I don't agree that they would just go for each other. I feel that they would put duty before themselves.
The relationship's still growing, though, right? So they're still in the new part of it, thinking that that's what would happen, which is completely understandable. But, like, as the series does go on, you will find that does change. But, like, it's really different to talk to you when you're reading it for your first time. Meanwhile, this is my 11th time reading it. Because I literally read it absolutely every year. I don't, like, some people really don't understand why I can read it every year, but I mean, just the fact of the writing and, like, the story itself, like, there's hardly any, like, actual, like, what I read now, like, sex and shit in it, but just the fact that the reader can pull you into it, I mean, the author can pull you into it, and then she just makes you want to keep reading it, like, that's just how it goes.
No, and I absolutely agree, and that was one of the things I was most shocked about, especially from a book series that you have suggested for me to read. That I was like, wait, where's the steamy hot romance and all of the things? And I'm like, this isn't a Katie book. It made me feel a little bit better for when we do March's book club. So that if you're open to something like this, where it will, bring you in and just make you want to keep reading and not stop, then it gives me hope that you can read a romance-ish.
Well, I can, but, like, the fact that, like, I mean, for me, this all started, as terribly as this sounds, it all started with Twilight. But literally, Twilight was a stepping stone for me. I cannot read that series. I just can't at all. So then I got into Vampire Academy. It was the second one that I read after Twilight, and it just took off. So it is my fandom. I literally ordered a Rose and Dimitri blanket for $50, okay? It is my fandom.
That doesn't surprise me. And you know what? I don't think anyone who was a reader in high school, or even when the Twilight saga came out, just kind of stepping on that, with their love of vampires, it was totally a toe. Yes, they're not supposed to sparkle, but it was a good toe in the water.
Yeah.
For readers to get into, you know, a fantasy like that with mythological creatures and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I wouldn't read Twilight now because it's just, it's Twilight.
The author, like...
I will admit, when I was a teenager, I absolutely loved this series, so it makes sense that Vampire Academy, how much it surpasses Twilight in so many ways, shape, or forms, is way better.
Yeah.
But I can see how you could transition from Twilight to this.
Yeah. Well, it's because at that time I was looking for everything vampire. So, I mean, unfortunately you didn't end up liking House of Night. But, I mean, if you're liking Vampire Academy, then you will end up liking Morganville Vampires because it's more of a new adult. It takes place with someone in college, right? So you're...
I have that series as well, too, because we found it at one of our book hunting expeditions.
Yes, you do have quite a bit of those ones. But, like, with Vampire Academy, the thing that I liked was that it goes with the reader. Like, you can tell that it started, like, when did this book... I have the first editions. So, this was published in 2007. So then if you go into Frostbite, it was published in 2008, which would probably put Shadow Kiss at 2009. Nope, also 2008.
Well,
so
I'm not surprised, because, like, the books, when they end, you have to read the next one. Like,
you
just can't wait for it. So I'm really grateful that they're all out now, so I can go, and I have all of them, and I can go one to the next one, to the next one, to the next one.
Yeah. Well, and, like...
I was so mad at you today when you told me to stop and wait for you. Like, so mad. All day, I went... And it left at such a cliffhanger, or at, like, such an important part that was coming up next.
But you will understand why I did that when we continue reading. So...
Because you wanted me to read with you.
Yes, but you will understand why I wanted you to read it with me. Plus, if you didn't, then we wouldn't be able to have this conversation right now.
Yes, we could.
Not really.
Okay, I'll take your word on it.
But, like, even just with, like... So, I would say... Okay, I have told you, because we talked about this last day, Book 1 and Book 2 were speed bumps.
I still disagree with you on book... Sorry, hiccups. On Book 2 being a speed bump. Because I really enjoyed Book 2. Like, 100%. I loved it more than Book 1. I can definitely see Book 1 being a speed bump because it's getting you introduced to the characters and
world
their
building.
powers and their enemies. And then Book 2 kind of goes more into it and into more of the action. And I don't doubt that this one is going to be just as intense because a lot has happened up to where I am now. But until I finish it, I still can't see Book 2 being a speed bump because I feel like it touched so much and had so much in it involved.
But see, this is another good reason that we're having this conversation now, because when we finish the books, finish this book, you're going to eat those words.
Okay.
I guarantee you, you are literally probably, I would honestly be surprised if you didn't, like, scream at the end of this book or, like, throw it across the room.
I'll let you know if I do. Yeah, Hank will be asleep and I'll be like slapping him awake and he'll be like, what?
Oh.
I'm like, you won't effing believe what just happened.
You will definitely do that. You will definitely do that.
I already do.
Hank, be prepared.
Be prepared. Sleep lightly.
I'm conditioned for this.
I don't know if you are. Honestly, I don't know if you are. Hey.
Side note, in the first book, Oscar, the cat, is Jack. Look, Jack, you're going to be YouTube famous.
Famous.
He's like, nah, I'm too humble for that.
But, okay, going back into the books.
Yeah.
What?
Yes, sorry.
No. What is your take on Mia? Has it changed from book 1 to now?
Yes, 100%. And Hank just very dramatically threw himself to the bed. And I think this is actually perfect because my opinion now versus Hank's opinion right now where he is, and he's still in book 1. And I told him, I was like, Mia has a redemption arc. No. Like, how could someone possibly that evil have a redemption arc?
Okay, so wait. Pause for a second there.
Okay.
Hank.
Yes.
How do you feel about Mia?
How do I feel about Mia?
Yeah.
In how many words?
As many as you want.
That's why I said effing. I'm making progress.
I don't even know right now. I can't.
He's not a fan, and I think anyone who reads at least book 1 and the majority of book 2.
She's a typical high school.
She's such a high school queen bee.
Yeah.
Like Queen B-I.
Regina George?
Worse. I think she's way worse than Regina George.
She's got short person syndrome. She's like a doll.
Yeah, she's like, shouldn't you be shopping at Gap Kids? Or I don't want to talk to someone who shops at Gap Kids. Like,
yeah.
No, she's so catty and so vindictive, and I really hated her. I honestly did. And then the redemption arc that she has is so... It comes in such a natural way where myself as a reader was like, oh my God, like that poor girl. And then, wow, like look at all the things she did, especially at the end of book 2.
Yeah.
To save Rose.
Yeah.
Like I got goosebumps thinking about it.
Well, and then in the fact in book 3 when Lisa and Rose go to court.
Yeah.
And they actually end up hugging each other, like that says a lot.
Well, it even says if 6 months ago you had told me that I would be hugging her or have this smile on my face, I would think you were crazy.
Yeah.
And I agree. And again, props to the author because I hated Mia. I was like, every time she came in, I was like, ooh, it's her. Ugh, I think I just threw up a little. And then she also, like, Mia herself in book 3, when they do meet at the court, has changed, not just personality-wise, but appearance-wise as well, where she doesn't have her telltale ringlets and perfect, like, makeup and dressed up. Like, she's dressed down in cash clothes with her hair thrown up in a ponytail, no makeup. Like, it just speaks on, you know, what trauma can actually do to a person and how a person can be one way and then go through something so terrible and then become humbled after it. Like, and that's just the best way I can explain it, that she became humbled after. Yeah,
I 100% agree. And then like the fact that when she's at court, she's working on being like training herself in defense mechanisms. So she's learning karate and all that stuff. She touched into defensive magic in book 2, and now she's really going for it.
Well, and when she was talking about, because her element specialty is water. Yeah. And the conversation that she has in Frostbitten about, do you think water can be used to kill a Strigoi? Yeah. And Rose is like, no, I really don't think that they can. And then and I didn't even think it was possible either. And obviously it doesn't kill the Strigoi. But it is...
Sorry, it's
Hank was right, YouTube. Hank was right.
It's such a vampiric name, though.
It is.
Vampiric.
Yeah.
Well, Rochelle actually takes a lot of frostbite from the Romanian culture. So, like, all of these words are from, Russian and, like, Romanian different things. She actually Googled everything so that she could make it. If you go and look her up and she talks about Vampire Academy, you will actually see that she, like, spent months
And you were also and that's what we're doing too with our novel.
Yeah.
Is that we've been
spoiler.
Googling.
We're writing a book.
Spoiler, we're writing a novel. I'm sorry. It's not vampires.
No, it's not vampires. It's 100% sex.
100%. Yes. But I feel that is what an author should do.
Yeah.
Is definitely research, and I props again to Rochelle. Amazing. And if anyone wants to know how to swear in Russian, I know how. Holla at your girl. Because as when they say that Damon. Oh, it's late, guys. It's late.
She really loves Vampire Diaries, everybody.
It's okay. Vampire Diaries is good. The books, the TV show's great. The books are mediocre.
We still love you.
I know you guys still love me. Anyways, what I'm trying to say is when they're saying that Dmitri is swearing in Russian, I was like, he's saying Bushka, isn't he? That's what he's saying.
See, I also like that Rochelle brings in Dimitri's Russian heritage. She's not just like, he's Russian. Oh, that's the end of it. She actually brings it into the story.
And just like little things here and there, and like him muttering something in Russian, and I really appreciate that.
Yeah.
I like how the author that you can totally see his like demeanor.
Yeah.
He's just like that Russian.
Yeah, you can definitely. She's a very picturesque writer where you can like when I'm reading it, I'm in the world myself.
Yep.
For sure.
And it's absolutely fantastic. It really is. But yeah, back to Mia and how she ends up helping Rose with the Strigoi, with the water element. I was floored and so impressed. That's all I wanted to get out.
Yeah, she did a really great job. And then, like, even just going from Frostbitten to Shadowkiss, you can see the change in Rose, because Rose had to kill those 2 Strigoi, and that damaged her even more than she was already.
And you know what? Like, how she wrote after she killed the Strigoi, and I'm going to say she was in shock after what happened to Mason, after what happened to the Moroi, like Mia and Christian, and like everything, like she totally took on the leader role in that, but I feel like it was her fight or flight instinct kicking into gear, because it was, I need to get my people out, I need to make sure they're safe, I need to make sure that we can survive another day, we cannot go on with this any longer. And she references a lot about being like her mother, and like legit when her and her mom were repairing, say with loose quotations, the relationship, I cried like such a baby. It was so sweet.
Me too.
I'm sorry, and I did not cry when Mason died. I know I should have, but I was already like bawling from her mom.
I usually cry after, and like you start seeing everybody's reactions to them dying. That's when I start crying. I don't cry like when they actually die. I don't know if it like doesn't like hit me then, but like I still cry at it. 11 times, people. 11 times, and I still cry in these books. I cried in Frostbite and Vampire Academy. You are going to bawl in Shadowkiss. Be ready for that. Be ready for that.
No, I hate crying. I hate crying.
But like, I like the fact that they're even like taking the damaged parts of Rose and Janine's relationship and putting it into the story. They're putting it into work. They are showing that it is slowly improving. Rose is now starting to grow into the fact that she understands why Janine did what she did. She still doesn't know who her father is.
I'm pretty sure the Queens kind of gave a hint to that.
The Queen?
I could also be wrong. I'm so new into this, but Abraham or something, I think. Or, again, maybe reading it wrong.
Yeah.
English is not my first language, guys. It's Russian.
No, the Queen did mention it, but she still doesn't know who that is. All she knows is that he's Turkish and that his name is Abraham.
Yes.
That's all she knows.
I know, but yes, but I mean, we as readers know, at least we're getting hints of who her father is. And I'm hoping, and I know you can speak for this as you've read it 11 times, that with her mom making an appearance and, starting to rebuild that relationship, I feel that her dad's going to come in, not in this book specifically, but probably in future books.
In the future books, yes.
I figured.
I think that we meet him in book, I want to say it's 5. It could be touched on in book 4, but I'm pretty sure it's book 5.
Well, she's one to make you wait.
Yeah.
But then, it gives you so much anticipation. It's like, oh, I just learned something new about someone new.
Yeah.
When are they going to come back?
Yeah.
I'm honestly surprised that Jesse came back in book 3, because I don't recall reading anything about Jesse in book 2.
He was loosely in book 2.
I don't recall.
Well, because he was fighting at, they were fighting at the resort, right? They were in the ski resort. There was always little mentions of him. He is dying out in the series, but...
Good.
Yes, him and Ralph...
Something.
Him and Ralph are dying out in the series, but I think, that's another thing that I like about this author and these books in particular, is that there's so many storylines within the bigger picture, right? I mean, your biggest picture is that you're looking for Rose and Dimitri to get together. You're looking for Rose and Lisa's relationship to grow and stay strong. You're looking for her relationship with her mother to grow, for her to meet her father. Adrian and her have a weird thing going on. And then there's the Mana thing that's going on right now. There's just so many storylines in between everything.
I'm so excited. Hank's so excited he has goosebumps right now.
It is an amazing series. I'm so glad that not only you are liking it, but that he is liking it as well.
And I love vampires. When you said vampires, I was like, ooh.
Yeah.
Well, he also watched me read book 1 too.
Yeah.
My arm's still hurts.
Yeah, I was smacking him. I was like, babe. But he watched me read book 1, and he watched how enthralled I was into it, right away. And exciting. Yeah, well, you see me read, but I'm usually non-communicative.
I just think with vampires, because you didn't like Vampire Diaries, and so I'm like,
I like vampires. The last
so I see Vampire Diaries as itself. You can't get into that. So I was just like,
it just depends. It depends on my mood. When it comes to vampires, the only real vampires books I ever read,
Twilight.
Well, yeah, Twilight was definitely one of them, but the first one was Companions of the Night by Vivian van de Velde. And that was a really good vampire, short vampire standalone novel that got me into my love of fantasy and vampires. And then in my Bitten series by Kelly Armstrong, it touches on vampires, but I did not like the vampire in that one. So then kind of coming around to this, it's vampires can be done really well or really terrible, like Hank said.
Yeah.
And I'm just so relieved that this one was done so exceptionally.
I think another reason that you're having an easier time reading this one too is that, yes, this is a story about vampires, but it's not shoved in your face like Twilight was, right?
It's very subtle.
Yes.
It is very subtle. Aside from the feeders.
Yeah.
Just vampires, guardians.
Yeah.
There's more to it.
It's more to it than just vampires. The vampires is who they are, but that's not really who they are. It's that's their race, but that's really it.
That doesn't define.
It doesn't, and it goes into the politics and stuff, and it's not we need to hunt for our next feed or whatever. It's done so with such grace.
I will say too that from now going forward, when we finish this book, it does get more into the vampire feeling, and you will understand that when we get to Blood Promise.
Okay, well that sounds. Which is next book. It's book 4. I had to look over to my bookshelf.
So I'm not going to sleep tonight. Finish.
And I'm finishing book 3 tonight, so.
Yes, I'm finishing Shadow Kiss as well. I have to work in the morning, but I really don't give a shit.
Katie, I'm doing so good with not swearing, and here you are dropping S-bombs, and I'm trying not to say dick, like...
Well, there's no need for dick in Vampire Academy, but I swear on my channel all the time. I say fuck. Like...
No, Jesse's a dick.
Yeah, okay, that would fit, but I feel like there should be a stronger word there.
Yeah, it's dick with a P. R. I was like, wait, it's not pick. P-R. Yeah, he is many things.
He is many things.
Yeah, many things.
Tomorrow I work until 3:30, so when I get home, we can start Blood Promise. Look at her face. You won't even really be up by then. I mean, you'll be up by 3:30, obviously, but I mean, you got shit to do. Work on the book.
Don't tell me how to live my life.
Keep you distracted. Work on the book.
I'll wait more.
But we're finishing number 3 tonight.
Okay.
So.
And I'm sure we'll text about it too.
Well, when we finish book 3, we have to do this again.
Yes. Well, yeah, because we're covering 1, 2, and the majority of 3 right now.
Yeah.
And then we have 4, 5, and 6 left. So wouldn't we finish it at 6?
Yes, but I want, like, the reason that we're talking about this now is because as soon as we finish the book, that's all that you're going to want to talk about.
Okay.
That's why.
Okay.
So at least now we have talked more about the book itself, the series up until basically the end of book 3.
Yeah, up to 335 to be exact.
It'll be funny too when we end up finishing Vampire Academy and start Bloodlines to see if you feel differently about the characters.
Is that the... Oh, it is too. Okay, cool.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think...
Because it switches to different people, right?
And I don't know if I'll enjoy that myself.
That was my problem.
I'm so all about Rose and Dimitri.
Yeah.
Like, I don't even think I would want to read about Lissa and Christian.
It's not about them.
Is it like the same? Is Bloodlines like the kind of...
It's like the off series, isn't it?
Off series? Or is it like, is it based on like other characters from the...
From the series, yeah. But it's not Lisa and Christian.
Oh. Well, the lady on the covers has really big RBF.
RBF?
Resting bitch face.
Oh, yeah. You get introduced to her in this series.
Oh.
You haven't met her yet.
Okay.
You've met the male. You've met the male.
Oh.
Yeah.
Is it Adrian?
Yes.
Okay, then maybe I'll get into it. I really like Adrian personally.
I really like Adrian too. Like, I don't have an issue with Bloodlines, but I mean, just, like, this really says it all. I'm reading Vampire Academy for the 11th time. When we get to Bloodlines, that'll be my 4th time. Drastic difference.
Okay. I'm going to be a book behind you, though, because I don't have Bloodlines. I'll be borrowing yours.
You don't have Bloodlines?
I do not have Bloodlines. We got Vampire Academy, but we haven't gotten Bloodlines.
Like, any of it?
None.
Oh. Well, I'll have to go book shopping.
I'll come. What is the group that's happening right now?
Mania.
What?
Mania.
The Mania?
Yeah. That's how I think you say it anyway.
I am very interested to really understand what it's fully about, but as of right now, before really getting into it, I think it's filled with a bunch of rich snobs that wants to use compulsion to get their way and not fight along the Guardian, not to fight along with the Guardians. And I think that's ridiculous.
Yeah. Well, I will tell you that by the end of book 3, you will have an answer to that.
I figured I would, because it seems to be like one of the main parts of the book.
Yeah.
Like subtly one of the main parts of the book.
Yeah. Okay, so I guess as of right now, what do you, why do you think that Rose is seeing Mason?
Okay, so as of right this second.
By the way, we're at just after Lisa is in trouble.
Yes. So I think that she is seeing Mason. Now, it really hurts my heart that Dimitri just doesn't like full-fledged believe her. Like,
he's
in
trying,
a way
though.
That is not stress-induced.
Yeah.
And I know they're saying that they're repairing the wards, or they replace the wards every 2 weeks, and that they just recently did it 3 days ago. But I feel that either Mason is stronger than other ghosts and is able to get past the wards, or he's been there the whole time since they came back. But I think he's trying to warn her about something or tell her, and kind of like making up for, she told him to go and he decided to charge for, what was the name? Strigoi name in Frostbitten?
Oh, Elijah?
Yeah, something like that. And she told him, like, your job is, he didn't follow orders. Like, and I have a really frustrating time when people are like, oh, it's your fault, Rose, that he's dead, and Eddie feels responsible for his death as well too. But at the end of the day, it was, they come first. You need to protect our charges, and in this case they're not technically their charges, but they're in that situation, they may as well have been. And he didn't listen, and he came back and he got killed by not following orders.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm glad, like, and he didn't really do much to really, aside from get him off, get the Strigoi off of her. That's about all he really accomplished. But like, his life should have not been taken, and if he had listened properly, he would listen. He needs to learn to listen. Yeah. If he had done what he was told to do, he probably would have still been alive. Yeah.
Do you have any guesses as to what Mason is trying to warn her of?
I feel very strongly that it's this group, that it has to do with this group of royals that are meeting and beating each other up. And I think I kind of know where this is like going with that, and like why they're getting burned and stuff like that. Either to use compulsion to burn them or whatever. I don't know. But I feel like it has to do with this group of royals, and I feel that they're either weakening the wards temporarily or doing something to open up for danger.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I honestly don't know. I feel like I could be way off, but I feel like it has to do with them or a revolution coming, which Victor mentions in book 1, that revolutions always start behind the scenes.
Yeah.
And in book 2, I felt that really come to light with the Stargoys working with humans.
Mm-hmm.
And now, with the royals and their little fight club, I feel like it's more to it. Like, there's going to be a huge revolution on both sides. Like, I can just feel it coming, hands down.
Yeah. Okay, so for anyone that doesn't know, Nikki is a medium. So reading this book with her and getting to this part in Shadow Kiss was actually really funny because we see, I don't even remember this person's name, but whatever her name was, we see her reading these cards and whatnot for Lisa, Rose, and Dimitri. And when Nikki was talking to me about it, she was saying that she was trying to guess to see if she was right about them. Were you right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And she was right. So, again, props to Rochelle, because she definitely did her research on that too. So, even though Rose was really disappointed with her reading, when she threw down those 3 cards, I was like, oh, damn. And her fighting the dead is not towards the
Strigoi.
Again, it's late. Sorry, guys. I feel like it's the ghost that she's battling herself. And I believe if you count 3, 4, 6, there's 6 ghosts on the plane, but it was the 9 of Swords. So I feel like there's going to be a few more people lost before she finally comes to fight the dead. But I feel like that's in regards to that, not the Strigoi.
Okay, so I actually wrote down what they received as their readings. So I want you to kind of like take your mediumishness and what you've read in the series and like guess what you think is going to happen, or like if this is a clue to something else. Okay? So
Okay.
Lisa, hers was, you're on the verge of a new beginning, a rebirth of great power and emotion. Your life will change, but it will be a change that takes you in a direction that, while difficult, will ultimately eliminate the world.
I, just for everyone watching, work more with oracle cards. Tarot is definitely traditional, and especially in countries like Romania and Russia and stuff like that. And every deck can be different as well. Okay, sorry. I just have to share this. So here is my wonderful tarot book. A lot of tarot cards will not come with a book. Not so much as oracle cards. They typically usually come with a book. But the Empress card for Lisa is perfect because the Empress card means the nurturing of others or other cards. And that is totally her. I felt it was very accurate for her.
It was, the 3 cards were the Moon, the Empress, and Ace of Clubs.
The Moon card itself is a card signifying transition. So it means that we're going, and the moon goes through phases from nude to full and so on and so forth. So for the moon card to come up first for her is very accurate because she is coming into her own powers, and she's becoming, and as you see in, more so that you see in Frostbitten, that she's becoming quite the diplomat, where she can, talk to 2 sides and kind of bring them together in one agreement, especially with like when it comes to fighting against the Strigoi.
Yeah.
The Empress card, which I mentioned, it's the nurturing of others, and considering her element is spirit and how she heals and just brings a light around to everyone, very, very appropriate for her as well. Now the Cups card is always a very good card to get because cups are very rarely negative. Ooh. Okay, so the Ace of Cups was the last card that Lisa got, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so Ace is usually the start of new beginnings. So in any of the cards, or rather the Pentacles, the Wands, the Swords, or the Cups, starts of new beginnings. So with her coming into her own and nurturing others, specifically the Cups itself is representing following your own heart. So especially with what the Queen just did at court in book 3, saying that Lisa and Adrian would marry, I outraged. I hate the Queen.
That does not change.
Lisa's going to follow her own heart regardless. Like, she is not one to be told what to do and what is right and what is wrong. If she doesn't feel it's right or wrong, she is one to hold on to her own opinion.
Mm-hmm. So do you think that Lisa's is more of a present telling reading?
It's 100%, past, present, future. That's how 3 cards work. So first card is past, and for the first card was Moon, beginning of a new phase. From the first book, if you take it into consideration, of her going from being a victim and losing her family, and then leaving the academy, and now coming back to the academy and coming into her powers and healing and, you know, finding herself, that completely represents where she has been right now.
Mm-hmm.
So up until book 2, and I feel book 3 is going to represent the last card. And I know it's crazy. If they had done this reading at the beginning, it would have been I would have been floored and seen it as it rose. But from the first book, represents the first card, Lisa coming into her own. The second card, the Empress, nurturing others and the people around her and becoming a diplomat. In my case, I feel it's more of a diplomatic card for her, and that into into 3. And now, especially after the fight that just happened between Adrian and Christian about Lisa marrying Adrian, this is going to come to light for her as well too, and she's going to be like, no, I'm not going to do that. You can't do that to me. Especially like the plans that her and Christian are making. Like, they're star-crossed lovers that can be together, unlike Dimitri and Rose, who can't be right now.
Yeah. Which
I really hope changes.
Okay, so then going into Rose's, hers is, you will destroy that which is undead. I know that you've touched on that, but like, what do you think that means?
Again, I feel like it's the ghosts that are following her, the spirits that are following her. And one of the reasons why I feel that she sees them is because she's shadow kissed as well. Part of Lisa, and her taking all of her darkness away, and part of her being dead and coming back, the more through from book 2 to where we are in book 3, she's taking more and more of the bad energy from Lisa. But I feel like because of that, that's why she's seeing things more now than she did in the previous books.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, hers was the 9 of Swords, and then the Ace of Swords, and then the Sun.
Okay. So the 9 of Swords refers to fears that have a firm foundation, opposition and emotional as well as financial pressures. So again, with how Lisa's cards were, and the first card she received being being the Moon card, and Rose's being the first card, that her fear with foundation. So she had a reason to take Lisa out of the academy because of the crap that was happening with Victor at that time. That is what that card is representing itself.
Ace of Swords, and then the Sun. The moon was Lisa.
Right, I know. And I was thinking of something that was very ironic, that Lisa got the Moon card, considering she can't really go out into the sun as much as Rose can.
Yeah.
And Rose has the Sun card and she can go in the sun. It just really subtle differences that, again, I just have so much respect for the writer itself. Okay, so the Ace of Swords is thinking and then acting decisively. So, and you can see in Rose, as she grows through the books, that she is starting to kind of think before she acts. She still has her temper that I absolutely love about her, but she does take the opportunities to think before she acts. And if she acts without thinking, she instantly regrets it. And she's like, no, I see why this was a bad idea. This is why I shouldn't have done this. Blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
To the Sun card, which I knew was in there in the first place. And you obviously know because you've read the book series, but the Sun card itself she's accomplished her goals. She has succeeded. Oh.
Does it make a difference if it's upside down?
Okay, now this is up to debate for many, and because I haven't read it all, I can't really say for instance here. Now, upside down could mean the exact opposite of what the card, meaning that Rose is going to fail in what she is trying to accomplish. However, in other cases, cards being upside down means this is something that you need to pay attention to. It all depends on the reader themselves. So it could be like, you need to remember that you are going to succeed in what you do. Instead of being like, yes, you're going to succeed, but it's not really a big deal. You need to remember that if you work hard, you're going to succeed.
Mm.
In the case, if it was the opposite, it would say she was going to fail at whatever she is trying to accomplish. So rather it be become Lisa's guardian or Lisa's guardian, or be with Dimitri and stuff like that. In this case, if we're talking about old school tradition, I really hope that it's not the opposite, but because of Dimitri's cards saying that you're going to lose someone that you love or that you cherish, it could be hinting at that as well too, with the Sun card being upside down and Dimitri's card about losing someone he cherishes.
So I'm actually going to keep this paper for when we finish the books, because I will tell you that all of these readings are clues for what's going to happen.
Oh, 100%.
So
100% agree with that.
But I mean, like, I know what's going to happen in them.
Of course you do.
Because I've read them so many times. But,
and next time when we talk about them and go over the tarot cards, I will be better prepared. I didn't think we were really going to go deep into them and have to prove myself here.
You're not proving yourself. It's just because you are a medium and that's what you do. So, like, I just thought it would be cool to kind of put that in because it attaches you more to the series as well.
Absolutely. And I was so stoked when it happened as well, too.
I figured you would be.
With traditional tarot, I'm not the biggest fan for myself to read, but love them anyways.
Okay.
I prefer my oracle cards.
So last, we have Dimitri.
Yeah.
So his is, you will lose what you value most. So treasure it while you can. The wheel is turning, always turning.
The Wheel of Fortune is making your own luck, or, the wheel is always spinning. Where it may land, nobody knows. So it can either land in where you want it to go, where you're getting, prosperity, success, whatever you so wish, but it could go the complete opposite way. And I feel that in this case, with the Wheel of Fortune card coming up, is that for him, it's that everything is kind of left up to chance. Like, you do not have control on where this wheel is going to stop. And what you stop is what you get, which leads me to believe that it's not going to end favorably for him. And I swear to God, if Dimitri dies at the end of this book, I will throw it across the room. I would not stop reading. I would stop. Oh, you would stop reading?
Yeah.
I would be outraged and I would cry and I would not be happy. I would be writing a letter.
I would be writing a letter.
I'll write a letter.
Very stern.
Yeah.
Are you gonna have a BF?
Yeah. The person in your life, the charismatic but somewhat unreliable Knight of Wands, is consistently changing course for new and even more exciting quests. So I feel that it has to do with Rose itself, and it goes into fitting into what I was saying about that Wheel of Fortune consistently spinning with the Knight of Wands going off and doing their own thing. And especially when it says they're charismatic and unreliable. I'm not saying Rose is necessarily unreliable, but she definitely does have a big personality and is a bit of a rebellion. Regardless of how much she has grown to now, she is one to fight the system or speak up her mind.
For sure. So
either she's going to be going down her own path. I don't know, but I can foresee that as what they're referring. It just kind of enhances me feeling that Dimitri and Rose are going to lose each other in some kind of way or another. I swear to God, if he dies, I'll be so mad, Katie. I'll be so mad. I'll be writing a wordly letter, text message to you if he dies.
Well, we'll be on video, so you can just say it then.
Okay. So again with the cup cards. Okay. Why couldn't it have been 2 of cups? 2 of cups is good. 5 of cups, and I said most of the time cups are good cards, but there can be bad ones. 5 of cups, a broken relationship can be mended, but do you want it to? This kind of going back into with Rose. And I swear to God, Katie, please just let them be together. They deserve to be together. But it's going to be a broken relationship. And I know it's going to be with Rose, especially with those cards. I wish I did this earlier, honestly, but I was just so excited to read.
Yeah. Okay, so last question before we stop and go continue and finish Shadow Kiss.
Yeah.
What do you think he is going to lose?
Rose. He's going to lose Rose, or he's going to lose the ability to be a guardian.
But like it's
that, I wouldn't be so surprised, but I would still be completely outraged. Especially after Victor's comment in court about what happens in book 1. Although it's totally not statutory rape, age of consent is 14. So just saying.
Plus they haven't had sex.
And they were under the lust charm.
Yeah. But I mean, like, it says you will lose what you value most. So you think that he values Rose?
Does he value Rose most? Does he value being a guardian most? That is the question that really needs to be asked right now. Because either, and especially with what the cards said themselves, is that a broken relationship is in place. So either he's going to do something messed up and push Rose away, or I don't know. But when it talks about mending a relationship, it's going to have to be, it's him and Rose. I just know it. You're giggling and I don't like it.
It's okay. It's just what I do.
I don't like it because I'm so invested.
Yes. And I mean, obviously I am too. But I also know what's going to happen, so yeah. But okay.
I know.
Are you ready?
I am ready.
Okay. We will come back when we are done book 3.
See you guys later.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.
Hey guys. So we have now finished Shadow Kiss, which is book 3 in the Vampire Academy series. Again, I have read all of them multiple times. This is Nikki's first time, so yeah.
Hello.
Hello.
Let's start off with Dimitri dying. Because then that way Hank's not going to walk in the middle and be like, what?
Okay.
If that works for you.
Yep. Did you throw it?
No, I did not want to throw my book. I mean, I was like, I was in shock. I went to bed so depressed.
Yeah.
Like I was like empty inside.
Yeah. I remember the first time I read it, I was just like bawling my eyes out. So.
I definitely cried.
Yeah. I thought that it, I didn't know, like, I didn't remember that he died, and then it, like, went on to show you that he turned into Strigoi. I thought it literally ended at he died.
No, because she goes out to pass the words to talk to Mason.
Yeah.
And she's like, is he alive? And he's like, no. And she's like, is he dead? And he's like, no. And she's like, is he a Strigoi? And he's like, yes. And I was like, woo!
Yeah. Yeah. Well, because, like,
everything that they've been through, that she finally gives us that, like, he's not wanting to fight the relationship anymore, and they're together, and it's like, no, fuck you, he's dead.
Yep.
Does he come back?
Well, he's a Strigoi.
Is there a way?
I don't know.
Yes, you do know. You just don't want to tell me.
That's accurate. You'll just have to read the books.
I'm going to read the book, but I just need... I need to know.
Yeah.
Peyton wants to say hi to all your followers.
Hi, Peyton.
Okay. Well, officially, I'm mad at you. I'm mad at you because I said it last night that if anything happens to Dimitri, I'm going to be so mad. And I believe I texted you that last night too. Like, I love this series. I'm just so into it, like die hard right into it.
Yeah.
But everything that happened to Dimitri, I was so mad. I was so mad. But no, I did not throw the book. Wanted to, and I hit my husband, but he was sleeping. So
did he not wake up?
He did not wake up, and then this morning, he saw Blood Promise on the side table, and he's like, "Did you start it last night?" I was like, "No." Okay, so I was talking about, so after the battle with the Strigoi, and she gets a tattoo because they couldn't possibly understand the number of Strigoi that she killed. But the tattoo on the back of the neck, I feel that it looks more like the sun, which the sun is technically a star. And I know she refers to the tattoo she gets for the battle of killing many Strigoi on the back of her neck. I feel like that had to do with her tarot card that we were talking about last night as well, too.
Yeah.
So also, what I wanted to mention last night to you, but then it was 4:00 in the morning and we both needed to get some sleep. I love Lissa and Rose's friendship. I really do. But the fight that they had at the end, or confrontation, or whatever you want to call it, where she's like, you know what, like, my entire life I've been living my life for you. Like, you need to let me do this for me. And I am so proud of Rose for, doing that for herself, because at first, and we notice when she's talking to, like, the therapist and stuff like that, she's like, no, like, this is what I want in my life.
Yeah.
Until something dire happens, i.e. needing to go kill Dimitri now because he became a Strigoi.
Yeah.
And not allowing anyone to stop. I'm really interested to see how the rest of this is going to play out. Like, does she still graduate? Does, like I know she left the school, but does she graduate? Like, does she come back? Does she get her guardianship role? Or is it like she's out in the world now on her own and will forever be on her own?
See, I find it funny, too, that when she was dropping out, Kurova was like, you can't drop out. Like, no. And Rose is like, you wanted me out, like, 6 months before. Like, why did you suddenly change your mind?
Well, and that just also shows development and growth of other characters as well, too.
Yeah.
Because the headmistress saw how much she has grown as a person as well. Like, Rose is like, if you think about it, when the Strigoi breached the safety wards of the school and attacked, Rose immediately, like, she informed everybody, and then she went right into battle because she needed to protect her charge, which was, in this case, Christian. Rather it had been just for a school their school field experience, she still took that responsibility and went right into it. And I was legitimately so happy to see the Marois fighting along with, not necessarily in the initial battle before they went, the one when they went to the caves, when it was just Christian, and he was using short bursts of his fire magic in order to distract the Strigoi and for Rose to be able to stake them after. Like, the battle itself was so exhilarating.
It was.
And absolutely amazing.
Well,
and then, of course, it happens right after Rose and Dimitri have sex.
Yep. Were you expecting that?
When she saw, yes, I kind of did. The sex, no. But The Strigoi coming after, yes, because I told you last night that there was something about an attack. I knew something was wrong with the wards in the school, and how she wrote about it, and how it ended up actually being the mana. How it ended up being them doing their, like, torturing people with their magic, weakening the wards. Absolutely mind-blowing on how she wrote that out and how that happened. Like, 100% props to the author.
Hi, Peyton.
So, that was really well done. And then I knew Mason had something to do with the Strigoi coming out and attacking. Now, it's really interesting because and I know they touched on it in Frostbitten, and now they're talking about it now, that it's not normal that the Strigois are working together.
Yeah.
Now, how they explained it previously, it sounded like they were feral to me, like in the first book, that it's like, are they just feral vampires that just, kill and whatever? But they're not. They're just immortal creatures that are just evil.
Yeah, like, they are closer to feral just because of the fact that, like, all they want to do is, like, better themselves for themselves. Like, they're very selfish creatures. And then the fact, too, that they literally just want to eat people. Like, even the fact that they're working with the humans, it's more of a, like, the Strigoi would kill them in a second.
Oh, for sure. Absolutely. And it makes sense that this is what the Strigois are doing in order to strengthen their numbers or officially kill off the Morois.
Yeah.
Is that they are working with humans to get where they can go. And the caves outside of the school, boom, mind-blowing. Like, just, wow.
Yeah, well, and, like, too, the fact that, like, the caves were so close and no one else seemed to figure that out. Like, it would have been a much different story if Mason wasn't part of the story the way that he was.
Oh, absolutely. And I'm really glad that Mason was part of it as well, too. Because I agree with you 100% with that. I don't think the story could have fit as good as it did with Mason in it.
No, and then, like, the fact, too, that in this one we see her struggling again with thinking that Eddie is dead, which he turns out not to be, but thinking that he is, that was a really big struggling point for her as well.
Oh, for sure, because it brings back, if we talk about post-traumatic disorder, she, after everything that she went through in Spokane and everything going on now, and at least this time, she had no fault for what had happened.
Mm-hmm.
That she did not tell anyone that the Strigois were coming. She didn't tell them where they were. Eddie was literally doing his due diligence as a guardian to protect Lissa and the other charges that were in that dorm at that time. And he just happened to get taken away. Now, I'm so glad it was Eddie being taken away, not Lissa, because I'm sure Rose would have lost her nugget in that case.
Oh, yes, for sure. Well, and, you will end up seeing the blonde vampire that they mentioned. You will see him later on in the story, too.
And I was going to ask that as well, too, because he showed familiarity with
Rose
and Lissa, and he was the one who ultimately turned Dimitri into a Strigoi, isn't if I'm not mistaken.
Yep, that's correct.
Now, is it, what was their roommate in Portland? Was it that guy? Like,
No.
No? Okay. No.
I don't actually remember if they go into explaining more of, like, who he is. I think that he's literally just, everyone knows the Dragomir line and the fact that Lisa's the only one that's still living. And then it was also rumored around everything that Lissa and Rose escaped the academy, right? So they're famous in that sense. And then because she's also a royal, so...
Yeah.
And... like, the main thing is that she's the last Dragomir.
Yeah. Do you think that, and here's just a theory that's been kind of bouncing in my head, especially with everything that we have gone through with Victor himself, Do you think, or my theory is, this is what I think, that the Moroi, either the council or the royals, have something to do with the Strigoi attacks? Like working with the Strigoi, saying, you know what, you can kill as many you want, you can turn as many as you want, but we need to change this for the revolution. We need to prove a point kind of deal, or not telling the Strigois their ulterior motive, that they're just saying, hey, we want to cause some havoc, we need you to do that, and this is how you get it done, this is what you need to do. Like, I feel like this is part of Victor's plan, or at the very least, something that's going on between the revolution that they talk about in book 1.
I think you read a lot of the Hunger Games.
It's possible.
It's a good prediction.
Okay. And the only reason why I say it is with Rochelle, expect the unexpected, because you never know what's going to happen.
No.
So it's easy to think of these theories on, well, it's obviously not normal that the Strigoi band together, let alone with each other or humans.
Yeah.
And it just feels like there's a bigger plan that we haven't been introduced yet.
Yeah, well, and I mean, like you said, you can't know what's going to happen because Rochelle is all over the place. Like, she makes it work, but she just randomly throws things out there.
Oh, hands down, absolutely agree. Same with I expected the mana to be part of the reason, but not in the way that I thought it was going to be. And it kind of faltered a little bit on it, but it blew my mind. Going to back to the end of the book when Rose and Lissa have their confrontation. You know, the one thing that I'm genuinely shocked that was, like, it was brought up, but not in a way where Lissa was like, yeah, you know what, I do this to you, and I do understand what you're going through kind of deal. But Rose has been taking all the darkness from Lissa's aura when she uses magic, and especially if she uses magic in a negative way. Yeah. So when she was using the compulsion on Jesse by having him being covered in spiders, and she became super vindictive and malicious and truly wanted to hurt him, like the madness or the darkness, whatever you want to call it, had taken her over. And then when Rose took that from her, she even said to Lissa, let me take it from you so you can let go. Mm-hmm. And even then, I don't feel that Lissa has given enough
like, stop being selfish towards her friend.
Yeah, that. I was just looking for, she just seems so ungrateful about it. Yeah. And that's been kind of pushing me off, and I feel like Rochelle herself has been writing us away from Lissa, where Lissa is like turning into her own person. Like, she's genuinely a good person. I really don't have anything against her, but she is very selfish in regards to her relationship with Rose, her friendship with Rose, and not taking care of what her needs are. She automatically just thinks, oh, well, she just assumes the easier way. Oh, she just needs a new boyfriend. Oh, she should move on with Eddie, not even knowing that she wasn't really in love with Mason. Yeah. And granted, Rose should have been open with her friend, but her friend didn't even notice things like why she wasn't putting on makeup anymore, or why she wasn't dressing up anymore. And, like, as a best friend, if I saw you, like, kind of going into that shell, I'd be like, hey, like, seriously, what's going on? You're not being yourself right now. Yeah. And Lissa kind of just makes up excuses for the actions. Yeah. And for me, that huge fight at the end of the book, I was like, yep, that needed to be said. Like, I've been waiting for that confrontation, and it, like, again, my heart breaks, but it needed to be said.
It did.
Because Lissa is in her own world, and just like the Guardians have been, like, told, you know, they come first, the Morois have been raised to believe that we come first.
Yeah. Well, like, that's, like, the main thing, right? Like, the Moroi just think that there are, like, the superiors, royal or not, and then the Damphirs don't get a life. They get a life up in the academy, but then still, you're not allowed to actually do anything in the academy. Like, Rose was shamed for wanting to have relationships with guys and stuff, even if they weren't Moroi, they were Danfer or whatever, because she was young. But then as soon as she turns 18 and graduates, then she's shoved into the real life and doesn't get to have a life, because when you're a guardian, you maybe get one day off a week and you don't have anything to do.
Well, it actually depends, because they mentioned it in the first book that guardians still get like sick day, or not necessarily sick days, but they do get time off. They get weekends, They get holidays, because they talk about Dimitri losing his charge while he was on a holiday dealing with a family matter.
Yeah.
So it's not uncommon for the guardians to be able to pursue something outside of that. But I agree with you, they just aren't given much at all. They are basically grown to be slaves and to protect. Like, they're just drones and totally not taken into consideration of like their feelings and stuff.
No. Like, I mean, I think that the best place you could be sent to, like, as a Danfer or a guardian would be the court, because you get a lot more freedom there. But other than that, you don't really have any freedom, right? Like, I mean, if you were put with a good family, then you might be okay. But even when they mentioned that some Moroi want you to just be there, they don't want to talk to you, they don't want to be your friend, they don't want to know you, they just want you to protect them, and that's not fair.
Be a shadow. That's all they want.
Yeah, and that's not fair. Like, the Danfers are still living.
But yeah, no, they are. It's just, they value their lives more than they value the ones that protecting, and then it's just really depressing, all in all.
I like how in this book too there is that change that you start to see with the Ozeras, when they mention that they want to be fighting with the Danfers, because they should also be part of protecting themselves. They shouldn't just have to defend on the Danfers to protect them. And then, so now you can see the movement, and even when the Strigoi attacked, and then all the Guardians came in to try and make the rescue mission, and Dimitri looks at Rose and goes, "This is history in the making."
Oh, yeah, I had literal goosebumps all over my body. Like, I was like, and he's like, just wait, just watch how fast this changes.
Yeah. Well, and then too, the fact that then Janine came in and was like, "I think that we should bring Moroi as well." Like, it was just like,
oh yeah,
life-changing for them.
I'm really starting to
Janine.
Yeah, I'm really starting to like her as a person. I really didn't like her at the beginning of Frostbitten.
Yeah.
But now I'm like, she's just looking out for what's best, because it's like, think of oppression almost, because in a way the Guardians are suppressed. Anyways, they are breeded specifically for this, that it doesn't matter what they want. It doesn't matter if they fall in love with a Moroi. They're just meant to be used, and with all the years of field experience and being like Rose when she was Rose's age, to be grown to be cold, calculated, and, a badass.
Mm-hmm.
You can still see that how the Guardians are treated weighs on her.
Mm-hmm.
And how you cannot allow that to affect you, because you see it when they leave the caves, when they're bringing back the bodies, and she has like a tear come out of her eye, and I was like, oh my god.
Yeah. Well, another thing that we see changing in this book too is that spirit is now being announced as another element, right?
Yeah.
So, and then you can even see no one understands it, and everyone has different things. So, like, Lisa mainly focuses on compulsion and healing, whereas Adrian can see auras and sleepwalk. And they both,
really cool.
Yeah, and they both deal with it differently. Lisa went on medication, and now she's off of it. And then Adrian was like, no, I don't meditate. And Lisa and Rose are like, yeah, you do. Like, you smoke and you drink. That is meditating. So you can see that the spirit users have a disability in that aspect because it takes so much out of them. But then, so you can see the difference between Lisa, who has Rose attached to her, and Adrian that doesn't. Do you think that it's damaging Adrian more to have to deal with it all by himself? Or do you think Rose and Lisa are more damaged because they're separated?
I think there's going to be damage with Rose and Lisa being separated.
I think so too. But like,
because Adrian has been able to deal with it on his own up until now. He wasn't crazy. He wasn't insane. He wasn't like Mrs. Carp.
Yeah.
Or other spirit users, whereas Lisa has been solely depending on Rose, and even more so in this book, that she didn't even realize half the time what Rose was doing for her. And even when she did know, she still was not willing to acknowledge it either.
Yeah. Well, and I think too, like, it does show that when Adrian is not self-medicating himself, that he does go crazy.
In a little bit, where he'll talk, he'll talk to himself, or he'll say strange things.
Yeah.
And whatnot, but he's considering how, because he's older than Lisa and Rose.
Yeah.
And he's been dealing with it for a lot longer, and in a way is more developed in the way of using spirit than Lisa is.
Yeah.
So considering how Lisa is in the first book, where she's cutting herself and hurting herself, Adrian has not tried to hurt himself aside from drinking himself into a stupor.
Yeah.
So here's my question for you. Do you think that the Guardians and the Maroys could successfully have relationships if they got their egos out of the way, where they weren't such, I'm better than you, you live to serve me? Like, do you think that there could potentially be good relationships, like we saw with Tasha and Dimitri? In that case, it was just friendship, thank God.
Yeah. I think that there definitely could be. I don't really recall seeing any of that in Vampire Academy itself as a series. But going into Bloodlines, you will see sort of a variation of that.
So does Bloodlines come after...
It comes after all of this, yeah.
Vampire Academy, so it's like picks up right after everything that happens after Last Sacrifice?
Yeah.
Okay.
We get introduced to Adrian's person in the next book.
So in Blood Promises?
In Blood Promise, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we do meet her. I mean, you won't know right away, but that's where you meet her, and then you see her in books 5 and 6 as well, and then she just continues. We have also met another main character from Bloodlines already.
Ew.
Yeah. Like, it's entangled in Rose and Lisa's and Dimitri's relationship, but not as much. Like, you get glimpses of them. I can't remember if it's, like, an add-on or if it's part of Bloodlines itself, but there is a part that we see back, like going back into Vampire Academy. We do see them in Bloodlines, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I'm trying to talk about it without spoiling anything. It's hard.
It's hard. That's why we talked about everything, like those big spoilers from Shadow Kissed before Hank got home, because I really did not want him to find out. Like, there's some things that you can talk about without really giving it away, but then there's the big ones that really make the story like huge.
Oh, yeah.
Like, Hank knows that there was a huge Strigoi fight on the campus, because I was reading out a paragraph with him when Rose runs into the dorm and runs into Stan, I believe it is.
Yeah.
And he thinks that she's, like, full of it at first, or that it's something to do with, like, her seeing ghosts or whatever. But in reality, that's why, Dimitri gave her that code word in order to, alert, no, this is actually serious. I would not be telling you this word if I didn't know what this word is, which ended up being storm in Russian. And it was like, again, chills, like, just chills.
Yeah. So going forth, what are your predictions for what's going to happen in books 4, 5, and 6? Do you have any predictions?
I know it's going to be epic.
Oh, yes.
I can definitely see how you said book 1 and 2 are speed bumps, because after book 3, and every book just seems to get more intense as it goes along, at least in the first 3, and I'm assuming 4 is no exception to that. I hope that there's a way to reverse what has happened to that one character that I wanted to, that I hate you. Definitely a book throwing moment. I can't throw a book. It's like abuse to the book.
I can't throw a book either.
Okay. But I was definitely enraged. I was definitely like, how dare you do this to me? How dare you take my heart and shred it into a million pieces and then, like, spit on it? Like, this is just unbelievable that you would do this. Like, I thought Mason's death was bad. This has nothing. It does not compare at all.
No.
And I also would like to mention, and I really hope that we see it in the next book, that her connection with being shadow kissed and seeing dead on the other side ends up being beneficial for her and working along with it.
I will tell you that does happen.
Some good news.
Okay, so we've talked about that. What do you think that we are going to now, since she's leaving, do you think that we are going to stop seeing Lisa in the story?
No. I definitely see her spiritual strength getting stronger, and either is going to be visiting Rose in her dreams or somehow finding a way to connect with her, even being so far away. And then I'm hoping eventually that maybe they can have, like, a two-way connection. And I hope that they do, repair their friendship. Because even though, like, I'm so happy that, what needed to be said was said, they are still bonded together at the end of the day. And they're still friends. But some things need to happen. I don't think that they should stop being friends.
So what do you think is going to happen to Lisa now that we're not going to be, like, right there with her? Because she's still going to be on campus.
I know. Hopefully, I'm sure some things are going to definitely change in the academy itself. Regards to, like, safety, and, like, I really hope that the Maroys get reprimanded for what they did in order to, hurt the wards. But, I wouldn't be surprised if the darkness gets to her real bad, or she finds a way to cope without Rose taking away the darkness, which would be very beneficial for when Rose comes back, or if Rose comes back. Because if she can manage her darkness without the crutch of Rose just taking it away and sucking it into her own aura and basically killing herself, like, look what happened to Anna.
Mm-hmm.
It could go one or two ways. It could go really good, or it can go really bad. It can get ugly and get good, or I don't know. I really hope that she figures out a way to handle it by herself.
Do you think that there's a reason that Adrian is able to pick up more of Lisa's spirit abilities than Lisa? Because Lisa hasn't been able to do anything that Dimitri's tried to show her. Meanwhile, Adrian has been able to heal little bits at a time. We saw that with the plant and then medicating people.
Well, let's take into consideration that, again, Adrian is older than Lisa.
Yes.
And also has been knowingly practicing, at least as far as I'm concerned, practicing and looking for other spirit users, whereas Lisa has just found out that she was a spirit user in the previous book and is starting to actually practice it and work on it, whereas Adrian has been for a while. It could just be time and patience in this case, and she should not be getting discouraged just because she's not as good as Adrian yet.
Where do you think Rose is going to go now?
I think well, obviously she's going to go to whatever that main town is in Montana that they're close to. I don't know. I really don't know. I do not know. I know she's on search for Dimitri, but I don't know where he could have possibly have gone. I feel like there may have been a hint, but obviously he's not going to go to the colony because he's a Strigoi now.
Yeah.
And I don't know. Maybe Russia?
So how do you feel about her borrowing money from Adrian?
She definitely did it in a dirty way because he genuinely seems to have like feelings for her, which he says as well. He's like, will you actually give me a real chance when you come back?
Yeah.
But she used her flirtation to get what she wanted. But I mean, it's a means to an end to get what she wanted.
Yeah. But honestly, I also feel that Adrian knows that he was being used in that respect.
Absolutely. Hands down. He wasn't like a Mason. If she had done it to Mason, I would have been a lot more upset.
Yeah.
But Adrian knew like how she feels about Dimitri, how like he's her everything.
Yeah.
And she's going to do whatever she can to end him being a Strigoi.
Do you think that we are going to see more of Mia and Eddie?
I don't know. I want to. I really do like them as characters. I wouldn't be surprised that now Rose has left the academy that Eddie ends up being Lissa's guardian. And if they are going to the court, which that was, I believe, the deal with the queen, then I'm sure we'll see Mia as well too, depending on where the story goes. Like, honestly, it can be anything right now. I have no expectations.
Find it really hard to take a guess at what's going to happen next. Like, I mean, obviously I know what's going to happen, but like even the first time that I was reading it, I was like, this just came out of nowhere. Like, not nowhere, because I mean, she does give you hints throughout the story, but you're not thinking that's what's going to happen. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I have no idea what could possibly happen going from now. I really don't.
Do you think that we're going to be done with Victor's side of the story now, or do you think he's coming back?
I really don't think so. I really, really don't think so. I think he'll maybe be in the shadows for a little bit, but I do expect him to come back.
There is 3 books left in this part of the series. This is the original part of the series. Bloodlines is just like a spin-off. But do you think that if Rose does end up going back to the academy, that she'll be shamed for not having graduated?
I think Rose has done so much that it's really hard to taint her reputation at this point. She would need to do something seriously bad in order to taint that reputation, going into fighting with the teachers and protecting the school and warning the school and rescuing all of those that have been kidnapped. It would take a lot. It would take an awful lot for her reputation to get tainted.
Do you think Adrian is still going to try and like visit her in her dreams and like get her to...
Oh, absolutely. I don't think maybe not as much at first, but I can definitely foresee him coming up into her dreams and trying to connect with her. If not, Lisa definitely will, because I feel like she's going to learn that dream walking capability.
Do you think that we're going to see more spirit users throughout the rest of the series?
I hope so. There can't just be like a small few of spirit users. There has to be more out there.
Do you think that there's a chance that any more spirit users could be at Vladimir's?
Not so much at Vladimir's.
But just in general?
In general, yes, but not at St. Vladimir's. And the only reason why I say that is because Lissa was made fun of. I don't think that there's going to be as much as, like, there is other elemental users, like fire, air, earth, water. I feel like it's a special element that is given to few, but not many.
And
but I would say I'm ignorant to say that there weren't more.
In Shadowkiss as well, after Lisa is, like, outed with her spirit using abilities, and the queen wants to start using her abilities to basically heal, and, like, she's basically giving Lisa the retrospect to be like a Danfer in a way, where she's just going to be like a healing slave. That's what the queen is kind of saying that she's wanting to do. Do you think that the queen is going to try and push Lisa to do that, or force her to, like Victor did?
Absolutely. I absolutely think so. Just like she has it in her mind that she can do an arranged marriage between Lisa and Adrian and get rid of Christian just because his parents were Strigoi. Like, it's just plain ignorance that we see in the everyday world, and to be reflected into a book, it makes me want to spit. It's so infuriating.
Do you think that we're going to see more problems with Lisa and Christian, or just the fact that they are battling the fact that his parents turned Strigoi? I don't know. I really don't know. Well, I mean, the biggest issue is that his parents were Strigoi, right? But I think that Christian is...
And the thing that really upsets me about this is in Frostbitten, he was given the opportunity to turn Strigoi, where he was tortured and starved and said, hey, all you gotta do is say that you're ready and pick one and turn them into a Strigoi or kill them or whatever. Like, he had days to do that and still didn't. And that has not been brought to light enough for the society around the Ozeras.
No.
Just because two turn doesn't mean the others will. And who's to say, like, Victor's any better? Like, Victor just tried to, hide his niece away and use her as his own, quote, personal fountain of youth.
That was his daughter.
And the queen is trying to arrange marriages. Oh my God, two people turned Strigoi by their own choice. And their son, shockingly, did not want to do the same. Why are we holding on to this? Like, it's ridiculous. It's just petty.
Yeah. Okay, well, I don't think I have anything else to talk about in Shadowkiss. Do you?
No, I think I'm good, and I am ready to start Blood Promises. I'm excited. I'm excited and a little dormant. I just can definitely see why you said I may want to walk away from this series, but I'm too into it now. I'm too into it now.
Well, the author does a really good job of making you stick with it. Like, I feel like if she had have just ended it at then I feel like she would have lost a lot of respect from readers. But I feel like the way that she ended book 3 definitely helped her in keeping her readers.
Well, especially with Dimitri being a Strigoi, I feel like there's some hope. Yeah. I really freaking hope that we can bring him back. I really do. I really honestly do. I'm going to be so devastated. This cannot be the end of Rose and Dimitri. It just can't. It just can't.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye.